Today we're exploring
a massive earthquake.
And that's just for starters.
Buckle up.
Along the west coast is spectacular
Cascadia subduction zone.
Cascadia Megathrust Fault.
the Great Cascadia earthquake.
Cascadia subduction.
It will be one of the biggest earthquakes in history.
The ticking time bomb nestled beneath the Pacific Northwest,
Going from southern Canada to northern California.
capable of unleashing the worst earthquake in U.S. history.
There will be landslides, dam failures, chemical spills, things that taken alone would qualify as one of the worst disasters this side of Hurricane Katrina. Worst disasters.
But what's underneath still shows evidence of
An offshore subduction zone
Off the west coast with the potential for
the 9.0 earthquake that struck 324 years ago.
The Juan de Fuca tectonic plate is slowly sliding beneath the North American plate. But make no mistake, the seemingly tranquil region holds the potential for unimaginable destruction.
It can be scary. It can be scary to think about what might happen in a worst case scenario earthquake.
You begin to fall 30 feet down, 30 feet down into eternal blackness.
At the same time, thinking through an emergency event can help you and your loved ones get prepared. Get prepared.
What would it be like to experience a major earthquake? A major earthquake?
From Northern California to BC.
capable of unleashing so much energy, so much energy, it'd make the fabled San Andreas Big One look like a mere wobble. Like a mere wobble.
Suddenly your car begins to shake. You look to the right and the left, and the other cars around you are shaking. A sound like a bomb exploding rips across you.
On January 26, 1700. January 26, 1700. When the earthquake happened, it shook much of the Pacific Northwest for up to 2 minutes, as a tsunami hit the coast with a maximum wave height of 65 feet.
Minutes after shaking begins, a vast tsunami will roll in, washing away coastal communities and inundating hundreds of thousands of square miles.
Skyscrapers swaying like trees in a violent storm. Bridges buckling and collapsing into the churning waters below. And entire communities swallowed whole by massive tsunamis.
According to native oral histories and records from Japan, our region's last big quake happened in the year 1700. It's believed that entire villages on Vancouver Island were wiped off the map.
By the time the wave recedes, North America will have witnessed its worst ever natural disaster.
You might remember the big wave scene from Interstellar, showing how powerful and huge tsunami can cause a lot of damage to entire communities. The buildings that have
Collapse, burying thousands in rubble. Fires will break out, devastating entire city blocks.
We know because of clues in the landscape that have been left behind by that earthquake, the very famous ghost forests that are up and down our coast, forests that subsided, the land dropped 6 feet during the earthquake.
When the big one finally hits America's west coast, it will unleash carnage on a scale rarely seen.
Written accounts from Japan. Written accounts from Japan. That's how we know the day, January 26th.
9 hours after the earthquake struck the coast, the waves of the tsunami started to reach Japan.
And of what we now call the orphan tsunami. Tsunami that killed people in Japan, that produced damages in Japan, for which there was no shake, there was no earthquake.
The Great Cascadia earthquake still ranks as the 5th strongest ever. The earthquake in Indonesia in 2004 and the Japan earthquake of 2011 were slightly stronger.
Experts predict that if you live in our region for the next 50 years, there's a more than 1 in 3 chance you'll experience a major
Event that's expected to be repeated.
It will happen again. It's an unavoidable truth of living in the Pacific Northwest.
But researchers say there are things that can be done
To fix this problem, we just have to invest in earthquake retrofits, in better building codes, and updating tsunami zoning, where we put our schools, our firehouses, earthquake retrofits, and better building codes, and updating tsunami zoning, updating tsunami zoning, where we put our schools, our firehouses.
Remember, if you live in our region for the next 50 years, there's a 1 in 3 chance, you'll experience a major earthquake. You'll experience a major earthquake.
Taking steps now can better protect us and save us when our next big earthquake strikes.
It's hard for any one person or family to be totally prepared for an emergency. Meeting your neighbors beforehand and coming together to support each other during a crisis is essential for your community's well-being.
But rather than being a hypothetical, this megaquake will soon become reality. Estimates for it happening in the next 50 years range from a worrying 1 in 10 to a terrifying 1 in 3.
It would be very dangerous for the Pacific Northwest. So what does this mean for the people living nearby? And what are they doing to get ready for something like this? These events are connected to how the Earth's plates move, especially in areas called subduction zones. First, what's a subduction zone? Imagine two massive plates colliding beneath the ocean. One plate is forced below the other in a process called subduction. Cascadia is one of them. It's where the Juan de Fuca Plate is diving beneath the North American plate. This zone stretches from northern California to southern British Columbia. This distance amounts to approximately 800 miles, comparable to the length of about 13,333 football fields lined up end to end. So why does it matter? Subduction zones are hotspots for seismic activity, causing seaquakes or underwater earthquakes. These events can trigger tsunamis as the seafloor shifts.
When the inevitable big one strikes, experts predict it will surpass the devastation caused by the San Francisco earthquake of 1906, or even the infamous 2011 Tohoku earthquake in Japan.
Panic is the right word. It was the most terrifying moment any of us have ever spent in our lives. It only lasted but a few moments.